Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I wanted to share with you some comics that I have read recently. So a week, 2 weeks ago, a while back, Emma from Drinking by My Shelf and two other booktubers, Tasman and Megan, whose channel names I forget, but I will link them below. They hosted a readathon called the 1,000 Doors Readathon, which was so much fun. They have these prompts, and then depending on how you like the book or what you rated the book or like different questions, you get to click on the next door that brings you to another prompt. So I did the whole weekend and I vlogged it, but I was not happy with the footage at all. So I basically scrapped that video, but I still want to talk about these books because I liked them all. So this is just going to be a recent reads of a few comics. So first up, I read the fourth volume of the Saga series. This is by Brian K. Vaughan and illustrated by Fiona Staples. So I can't really talk, obviously, about this book specifically because it is number 4. But this is a space opera. It follows two people primarily who are a couple. They have a baby together, but their planets are on opposite sides of this intergalactic war, and actually one of them was a soldier and the other one was like a prisoner of war type thing, and they end up falling in love and like escaping together, and other factions, I guess, are chasing them down, trying to capture them. So we follow their story with their young family, just trying to stay safe. I love the illustrations. The illustrations are one of my favorite parts. I will insert some footage of just some of the pictures. I also find the story really engaging. There's a lot of really interesting and weird side characters whose stories also I find really interesting. And of course, all these stories kind of are related. The characters come together or meet up in different ways. If you are looking for a fun but violent at times space opera, then this would be for you. Who I wouldn't recommend this to is anyone who doesn't like things that are frankly a bit vulgar. The illustrations do not leave a lot to the imagination. There's a lot of explicit sexual scenes, swearing, just kind of like very crass like content, I guess, which I don't mind. And yeah, this is just for me a really fun series. I didn't like number 4 as much as number 3. Number 3 actually had a couple of like moments that really got to me, like quite tender moments that I wasn't expecting, and I really love number 3. Number 4 was still fun and I liked it. Well, not my favorite, but I mean, I'm still going to continue with the series because I really like it. The other thing was another series that I continued. So last year I read The Girl from the Other Side. It's a manga. It's kind of like an all ages manga. I wouldn't necessarily call it middle grade necessarily, or like for children, but there's nothing in here that is inappropriate for like a younger reader. But it's also something that adults could really enjoy. Well, I really enjoyed it. And again, I can't really get into too much. So I read number 2 and number 3 in the series. Last year I read the first one, and if I remember correctly, it made my top books of the year that I read last year. It is about this world where there's some sort of like infection or plague or curse, we don't really know what it is, that affects people if they're touched by other people who are cursed. And then they become kind of like these monsters. The cursed people, monsters, whatever, are called outsiders because the world, the inside, people who are not infected or cursed, have like put up these walls. So we have the inside, and then the outside is where all of the monsters live. And except for this one little girl who lives on the outside, and she is being cared for and protected by an outsider. But of course, he can't touch her. He has to try to take care of her without any physical contact because he doesn't want to turn her into an outsider. These books always end on a cliffhanger, so you immediately want to jump into the next book. That happened with the first one, that like the last panel, it was just like a picture, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my god, I have to read the second one. But my library didn't have them until now. They only had number 1 for like ages. This is something I would recommend to almost anybody. The only people I wouldn't recommend this to are people who like don't like illustrations in their books. If you had some sort of thing against like comics or manga, in which case why are you watching this video of me talking about comics? But anyway, loved it. I've already checked out books 4, 5, and 6, and I will be tearing through those, I'm sure. I can't rave about that series enough. I just think it is simple. I love the atmosphere. It's very dark and moody and very like fairy tale-esque, which is just right up my alley. So highly recommend The Girl from the Other Side. The last comic I want to talk about is The Walking Dead. Late to the game, I know, but I really like horror novels. But I don't really watch horror movies or TV shows because I am visually very squeamish. I can read about the most horrific things in books, but if I see, like, if the special effects and makeup is too good, I just can't handle it. And zombies is actually something that I have an unnatural fear of. I mean, if zombies were real, it would be natural to have that fear, but like zombies don't exist, so like why am I so afraid of them? I digress. What I'm trying to say is I'm never going to watch the Walking Dead series. My poor little heart can't take it. So I wanted to check out the comic series, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought that I would like it a bit, but I really enjoyed it. The illustrations, at first I was kind of disappointed that they were all black and white, because I thought, what a wasted opportunity. This would look so good with color. But after reading the whole thing, after I got to the end, I'm like, no, the black and white is perfect for the tone of this. It is quite bleak, and the illustrations at times are pretty gruesome, but I will say it is meted out perfectly. So something I really appreciated is they don't overdo it with the zombies. Oh, I forgot to say, this is by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by Tony Moore. So they don't overdo it with the zombies. The zombies are peppered in there sporadically, just enough to keep the tension going throughout the whole book, but not enough that it becomes like overkill or like oversaturated, you know? So I really appreciated that. The most zombies you see are at the very beginning, when the main character is waking up from a coma and basically is becoming aware of how the world has changed and what's going on, and he's bombarded by all of these zombies everywhere. Those are the most zombies you see. Again, they're kind of peppered throughout the book, but it's the pacing of that is very well done. Something I wasn't expecting was how good the characters were going to be. One of my favorite things about horror are character-driven horror novels. Like, yes, the gore and stuff is all part and parcel, but it's how people are reacting to that and how they band together and the conflicts between people in horrific situations. That's what's interesting, and that's why I love horror so much, and this did it really, really well. I really loved how character-focused this was, and I thought I would just read this volume, check it out, see what the fuss was about, and maybe be done with it, but I'm definitely continuing with this series. Like I said, awesome characters, good character development. The only thing that I didn't like was I thought the ending of this was a little heavy-handed, like bordering melodramatic, but nothing that would ruin the whole book. So I will definitely continue with this, and I recommend it if you like things that are character-driven and you don't mind a little bit of horror and gruesome illustrations. So yeah, another winner. So that was just a really great reading weekend for me, and I wanted to share those books with you. Thank you as always for watching. And if you've read these series, like obviously don't spoil anything for me, but if you could comment below how you, what you think about how those series progressed, if they stood up over time, then I would love to hear about that because I am going to be continuing with all three of them. So as always, thanks so much for watching and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.